Odyssey Gold, as you said, is a gold explorer in the Murchison district of Western Australia. We acquired the Takanara Project very late in 2020 and have had some great success in the initial couple of years of exploring in the area. Go to the next slide. So, Board of Directors and management, well experienced in resource investment and resource management, and we've been applying those skills to the project. Also notable on this slide is the company, end of last quarter, has a $2.9 million cash balance, plenty of cash to keep exploring and growing the resources that we've recently declared. Next slide. So just last week, the company declared its maiden predominantly open pit resource for the Takanara project. 5.3 million tonnes at 2.2 grams per tonne gold, or 376,000 ounces at a 0.9 gram cutoff. Within that resource, we have a high-grade component of just over 2 million tonnes at 3.5 grams per tonne for 238,000 ounces. So very high grade for open pit resources. For pits which are not being mined. It's uncommon to see that in Western Australia at the moment. Notably, the majority of these ounces are on mining leases. 240,000 ounces are on granted mining leases, which will really expedite production and development of these resources. Notable producers in the area are Westgold with a number of mills, Gascoyne, and also Ramelius Resources. So the Takanara project sits right in the heart of the Murchison Gold District, 35 million ounce endowment for the Murchison area, typically high grade projects, and 7.5 million tonnes per annum of processing capacity in the district. So the miners out here are getting deeper, more mature mines and getting hungry for more feed for their mills. So that's what really attracted the company. High-grade resources in an area with the nearest mill being the Bluebird Mill, only 40 kilometres away, but a lot of capacity in the area and growing demand for gold resources. The resources that we've declared, all about 9,000 ounces, are open pit resources. And that's been the focus of the first 2 years worth of drilling, is to prove up the open pit, understand the geological controls, and then start to look deeper at the underground potential, as well as continuing to grow the open pit resources as well. One of the notable discoveries in the last year is the highway zone. We'll talk about that later in the slide pack, if we go to the next slide. So we've started with a great open pit resource. Where are we going to next? So great potential to drill underground, and we'll look at the highway zone. 11 meters at 7.8, 12 meters at 6.5 is just some notable results from the highway zone. To give some context, 30 gram meters, so width times the grade being greater than 30 is a good result. So many of the results far exceed that industry benchmark of positive results. The resource that we've declared is only a small fraction of the total project portfolio. So plenty of ground for additional discoveries and growth on the existing resources. While we're doing that, there's great potential for development, joint venturing, monetization of the resources that we've already defined to continue to fund our ongoing exploration and really realise the potential of the project. Next slide. So, about 240,000 ounces are on already granted mining leases. That gives us the potential, with additional study work, to potentially get these things into production in the next 12 months or so. And we've had interest from private mining companies to get involved to help us do that. A lot of the background study work has already been well progressed. Waste rock characterization, hydrology, dewatering, land clearing plans, tailings management, etc. To progress the project, we recently got a mining lease applied for and granted over the Kohinoor deposit as well, to keep things moving. Very important these days, is understanding of the potential risks of heritage site discovery. The company did a great job in covering all of the resource areas again with new heritage surveys in 2021, and there are no known heritage sites within any of the resource areas that have been declared. The sites that are known are very peripheral to the tenement portfolio. Metallurgical test work has been done across most of the project. Typical recoveries in the mid-90s%, very good recoveries. Most of the oxide and transitional resources have been done, some of the sulfide resources, more work going forward, but the very shallow resources are pretty well understood at the moment. On the right-hand side of the slide deck here is where we see the laterite resources on the project. So we've got 0.9 to 1.5 gram laterite resources and oxide extending for about 1.7 kilometres of strike. So those are between 2 and 9 meters below surface. So anyone coming in to mine these resources very rapidly will be seeing ore tons coming out of the ground and cash flow from the project. If we go to the next slide. As I said, great producers in the area, Ramelius, Westgold, Gascoyne, and also Monument with the Park project. 7.5 million tonnes of processing capacity. Why isn't this project being mined now? Well, it was last mined in the 1990s when gold was at a much lower price, about 100,000 ounces mined out of the open pits at 3.5 grams. And any company would be happy to producing 3.5 gram open pits at the moment, especially our producers in the area. We're seeing increasing M&A activity with the majors not making their own discoveries and got increasingly mature mines, and you see higher payments to get new resources into those companies. Ramelius has been quite active across the goldfields. On foot is a $201 million offer for Musgrave. That trumped a $177 million offer by Westgold for the same project. Ramelius has also earlier in the year made a successful bid for Breaker Resources of $130 million. And then previously they'd had a $228 million offer, which was successful for Spectrum. Those are in the realms of $150 to $200 per resource ounce for those projects. So new resources of good grade are highly valued within the area. We see that we have high value ounces in a district with 7.5 million tonnes per annum of processing capacity. If we go to the next slide. So as I said, successful drilling over the last 2 years, putting together the simple geology, applying that to the property and having some great drill results coming out of it. The areas are blue, the blue targets on the left-hand slide are those areas that have been declared in resource. The whole Cable Bollard Highway to Bottle Dump trend, we've got about another 2.6 kilometres of that trend that hasn't been drilled yet. And you have a look at the width and grade, the tenor of results that we're getting from improving our geological understanding of the project. We see great potential for rapid growth to the open pit resources, as well as starting to define the underground potential as well, which we'll go into. Next slide. So just one of those targets, highway, that we discovered in the last 18 months. Just the strike continuation of the known Cable Bollard under a little bit of cover. Here we're seeing widths of 20, 40 metres at both open pit and underground mineable grades. Intersections such as 12 metres at 6.5, 11 metres at 7.8. It's got strong oxide development at surface, you see on the cross-section on the right, and good continuity of the mineralisation extending to depth. We've defined 150 metre high-grade chute within about 350 metres that's been drilled in this target area. One of the areas that I'm itching to drill, now we've got the resource completed, is the down plunge extension, and just drill below those 12 meters at 6 and 11 meters at 8 gram intersections. So if we go to the next slide. And now we've been through the resources. There was a number of structures that we wanted to include. Some of them didn't quite have enough drill holes to be included in the resource. So here we're up at the northern end of the property on the recently granted mining lease. We have the T7 and T8 targets, which haven't been granted, which haven't been declared in resource. They've got some drill holes in them, and we see the T8 target, 8 meters at 5 grams from 8 meters below surface, 6 meters at 4 grams from 20 meters down. It's not going to take many cheap RC holes to be able to convert these things to grow additional open pit resources in the near term and potential for underground growth in the medium term. And these are just a couple examples of those shallow targets. We go to the next slide. So another area of technical development in the recent time. There's a lot of banded iron formation on the project, and that's often proximal to where we're seeing the gold mineralization. Where we see the gold near the banded iron is replaced by sulfide, and you can see that semi-massive pyrrhotite in the core photo on the right-hand side of the slide. On the left-hand side, the top picture, where we have red in the holes is where we've got more than 10% sulfide, and where we've got in the bottom picture on the left-hand side where there's red is gold mineralization. And you see a very strong correlation between the sulfide mineralization and where we're seeing the gold. If we go to the next slides. So we've applied moving loop EM at surface. This is the bottom lump pit where we've got a resource. We're seeing a great correlation between conductors defined and the gold mineralization defined in drilling. So we see that as a tool to rapidly explore undercover on the property and grow new shoots and new high-grade potential on the project. Jump to slide 13. Essentially, we just keep going forward. Yeah. So looking at the company, we've got plenty of cash in the bank. We've declared a maiden open pit resource, plenty of potential to grow that. That matches the previous production at a much lower gold price. We think development of the resources through the surrounding open pits will allow us to fund to realise the full potential of the project. So 376,000 ounces at 2 grams, a high-grade component 240 at 3.5 grams, and a ridiculously cheap gold price, market cap. As gold starts to come back, it is a great gold price. I think everyone's been jumping on the rare earth and the lithium bandwagon. We'll see a correction of price there. People will come rushing back into gold and recognise this is a project that our neighbours need. So back to you, Paul.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, and it's been noticeable that, I think for the last 6 months that we've started seeing sort of central banks really up, starting to buy gold again. Particularly the Chinese hadn't bought it for a number of years. So I'm with you. I think gold price is going higher. So a few questions here. You recently completed, a large air core drill program, which obviously delivered some great results. What did you learn from these results about the mineralogy and the system you were targeting?
So in the air core, that was to the east of where we have declared the resource. We saw continuation of the stratigraphy. Not trying to get too technical on the geology. We're chasing the ultramafic rock. We saw an extension of the ultramafics, and we got hits of 2 meters at 5 grams in that shallow drilling. And there's more of that ultramafic extending for another 2 kilometers out to the east. So it just demonstrates, even looking for more of the same, let alone looking for different style of mineralization here, great potential to continue to grow the resources.
Yeah. And how does the Takanara project stack up versus the other Murchison Goldfield players? Yeah,
these are new resources sticking out of the ground at 2.2 grams. A lot of them are on granted mining leases with a lot of that study work done. and sitting very central to all of that milling capacity. So we believe they're going to be high margin, high value tonnes. Some of the other projects are smaller scale resources, smaller strike lengths. As I said, oxide extending for 1.7 kilometres at right near surface. So high margin, high value ounces is the distinguisher.
And what are the next steps for the Takanara project?
Yeah, so fantastic widths and grades at highway, better than what I expected before joining the company about 18 months ago. So that's been a great success, continuing to grow the high grade highway zone. Add those shallow resources that weren't quite drilled enough to declare as a resource now, and using the moving loop EM at surface, look for additional shoots here and add new shallow tonnes to the resource.
And what news flow can investors expect to hear over the rest of the year?
Yeah, so a lot of appetite for these resources, and you'll see the commencement of the drilling and continuing to grow those resources.
And just to close up, just remind us the M&A interest you're seeing in the Murchison area again. I thought that was very interesting. There's been a hive of activity, yeah?
That's right. You see around the Kalgoorlie and Laban-Leonora areas, there's been a bit of activity, and I think we're just seeing the start for the Murchison West Gold and Ramelius. We've got big mills there that they need to feed, so there's more to come for sure.
Fantastic. Matt, many thanks for presenting today. You have a great weekend.
You too, thanks.